Welcome. Thank you everyone for joining us. I'm Anushka from the College of Law. I'm a program consultant, so I work across all of the college's programs, including our professional legal studies course, or PROFs, or PLSC. There's a few names that everyone knows it by, and I'm here with Alison Wallace today.
Hello, I'm one of the senior instructors, so I'm just here to fill in any gaps of things that people want to know. So we've got someone from the client services team and someone from the lecturer team.
Yeah, I think we've got a good coverage. So please feel free to put questions in the chat or the Q&A function. We will answer questions as we go or at the end if there's a few questions you want to see if we haven't answered by the end. So we'll get started. Welcome everyone. Let's move to the next slide. So I guess a few of you are probably doing your Bachelor of Law right now or have completed in the last few months or years. So that's your first stage of your education journey to becoming a lawyer. So that starts with your academic base, your Bachelor of Law, and then moves on to your practical skills, which is where PLSC comes in. So that's where we come in, so that's stage 2. And all it is underpinning your theoretical understanding of the law and legal practice in New Zealand. And then we bring all that theory knowledge into practical skills that you can apply when you're in practice. The next step would be the stepping up to the Graduate Diploma of Legal Practice, which is GDLP. It's just an upgrade to your professionals. It looks at work experience, what you've learned in your first 6 months or 12 weeks of being in a workplace, and it's just about really getting a qualification for what you've learned in professionals that people can recognise outside of the legal professions or for graduate diploma. And then the last stage is specialisation, which is when you've been in practice for about 2 to 4 years and you're looking at specialising into a certain major. So the College of Law offers a practical Master of Law in a couple of different areas, or if you're looking to switch areas, it's also really good for that. So I'll take us on to the next slide. So I think this one, Ali, do you want to take over for that one?
Yes, of course. Yeah. So as Anushka said, our course is it's run through a set of regulations from the New Zealand Council of Legal Education. But basically, it is skills based, but you have to exercise skills in a context, right? Because they don't exist in and of themselves. So we have a number of compulsory subjects that everybody does. On site or face to face, whether that be online or actually physically here, is interviewing, negotiation and advocacy. And in the online work, you do 3 compulsory subjects: property, commercial and civil litigation. And then you pick from one of our 4 electives. So yeah, the elective choice is quite a popular thing because it gives you a chance to do something that's in your interest area. So that's one of your 4 written subjects that you do.
Yeah, and your elective choice does not dictate where you'll go in future. It's just a subject for you to choose in and learn about that area of law.
Yeah, we do sometimes get questions about, well, which elective should I choose? And the answer is just do something that interests you, even if you're not currently working in that area or you're not quite sure what you want to do. It doesn't matter. It doesn't govern the whole of profs. It's just that one thing. So we usually say do something that you're going to enjoy.
Yes. Yeah, I always recommend in-house because you're not going to get in-house knowledge very quickly, and it's one of those harder ones to learn if you ever want to go in-house.
It's true. It's a good course. It's a good one, that one.
And we just got a quote from one of our grads. The College of Law gave me a great introduction to the world of legal practice. It built on my theoretical foundations and I got more out of it than I anticipated. The course's flexibility and staff helped me balance my work-life commitments, which made my prof simple and hassle-free. So that's from Herman Visage.
And of course, Herman is an in-house counsel, as you'll see from there.
Yes. Yeah. And so we pride ourselves on ensuring your experience is rewarding and works around your busy life as a new lawyer. So some people will be already in practice or doing sort of other things, and some people will be looking for the next job or might be doing part of a graduate program and coming through to us as well. So we get lots and lots of different people with different job experience and availability. I'll give this one to you as well, Ali.
Okay, sure. So yes, it's very profs is really different to uni. If you think about that earlier slide, we have the different stages of your legal education. So profs is the practical if you like, the clinical part of your education. It's about how to actually learn how to do something to help a client in a real world situation. So we don't have written exams, and we don't have essays. We have real world scenarios, tasks that you do, and you so that they mimic things that you would do in a law firm or a legal practice environment, and you get feedback from experienced instructors who are all practitioners with many years experience. So yeah, it's interactive, it's very hands-on, it's pragmatic, so it's very different to university. And yeah, we like to think we provide a pretty supportive environment. You don't do anything for assessment with thrown in the deep end. You have a chance to practice and learn and get feedback before you are assessed on anything.
Yeah, I think a good example of that is our interviewing and advising workshops. One person plays the client, one person plays the lawyer, and you interview your client. And you do this a couple of times before you get to the assessment. So there's 2 days of workshops. The teacher will take you through what you need to do, and then you start doing real life kind of practices where one of you is pretending to be a client, one of you is an interviewer, switch it over, that sort of thing. So you're getting an idea of how people will actually be when you're in practice as well. That's where that practical knowledge comes from, isn't it, Ali?
All good fun. Yeah, so the workshops are very interactive. There's very little lecturing. It's more about doing the practical stuff, and that's the same whether you do the purely online, purely remote work, or whether you do the face to face. It's the same. You're going to be working with other students doing practical stuff. Yeah, so that's all good fun.
So profs at the College of Law is flexible, and their instructors are understanding. They adapted my course to make sure I learned everything I needed to know about the professional legal world. So that's from Hannah Ray, who was a solicitor at Simpson Grayson, and I believe at the time she was competing overseas in for New Zealand in golf. So we're really flexible around whether I guess not many people are going overseas to compete in golf at the moment, but if you're moving cities, starting new jobs, or you might be even completing other qualifications such as chartered accountants. So we can be flexible around those sort of things and just find the best course for you.
We certainly have a big variety of course structures, and we do have, there's sometimes students will need to transfer around because of a change of circumstances, and I know that's something that the question of flexibility is something that we've always been known for. Here at the college, that's been one of our signature things, and I'm pretty proud to say that's something that we've always managed to keep up. We'd always look for the solution that works for the student.
Yeah, well, it's just around how you've just finished university, but might be the busiest time you ever have, so we aim to be as flexible as we can. We do offer courses in 4 different course options. So that's your 13-week full-time course, which is if you just want to get it done as quickly as possible and you have all the time in the world. And then we offer the part-time courses, which are 18 weeks, and we have 3 different workshop options for that. So you can have your workshops in the evening, in the daytime, or on the weekends. So that's our 4 different course options. And then we also offer them we say it's 6 study locations now, because there's 5 locations in New Zealand you can do them from. So Auckland, Hamilton, Wellington, Christchurch, and Dunedin. And then if you want to do it completely online, that's an option too, where you can do it anywhere in the world with internet access. I think the only issue there is the time zone difference. So we do have the largest range of workshops to choose from, and you can complete them however best suits you. And that's where we say we're very flexible. If, for instance, you're moving down to Wellington, but you're not moving down to Wellington until your last week of course, and you've got your advocacy workshops, we can transfer you on site generally to Wellington, or we can put you online. There's lots of different options around there. So it's generally about finding the course that suits you best. And then if there's any kind of exceptions, just get in touch and we can see what we can do. So the College of Law online courses were very user-friendly, concise and comprehensive. That complemented the on-site learning aspect of the courses, which were fun and really prepared me for the work in the legal world. Overall, the College of Law made me feel at ease with their enthusiasm and supportive instructors. And that's from Jennifer. The way the course is taught can be a big adjustment for many without the lectures and daily face-to-face interactions, which is why we provide you with, in my opinion, the most supportive and knowledgeable instructor team. I think Ali's a good example of them.
Well, we're certainly, people that teach here, they do it because they genuinely like working with students, and so yeah, I think we've got a pretty amazing team, really. But yeah, we're very whether it be in your online work or your face to face, where you're dealing with experienced people who are used to supervising juniors and are pretty keen to be helping the next generation of lawyers. So yeah, we've you'll meet some pretty amazing instructors through our course.
Yeah, and just
did you want me to talk about this one? Yeah, I can talk about this one. Yeah, so we've kind of been leading into it a little bit, but yeah, so all of our instructors here generally have no less than 10 years experience in practice. So so the people that teach here are not academics, they're lawyers that are either coming in to teach. We have a small core team of permanent lecturers, but we're all lawyers as well, and then we have a big team of adjuncts who are all practitioners who just teach part-time. So we've got people who are really specialist in their area. So you'll for each subject you do, you'll have an instructor who will be your instructor, whether that be for your online or your workshops. You'll have somebody to ask and to get feedback from. But we also have we've got plenty of touch points, as well as our materials. A lot of students just use the materials, and they don't actually. It's so straightforward. They actually don't need a lot of additional contact. Some people like to reach out and ask questions. We have virtual office hours twice a week that you can drop into, and yeah, we give you good guidance before you're assessed. As I kind of said before, we might be looping back a little bit, but yeah, we don't throw you in the deep end and say, oh well, it's sink or swim. There's also what might be useful is that there's no bell curve in profs, so you're not competing against anybody else. It's just an individual learning journey, and our pass rate is very high. So it's not like, oh, we have to fail so many people or anything like that. Sometimes that's a reassuring thing, I think, for students to know.
Yeah, well, our course is all about being competent when you enter the legal profession. So how you get to competency is up to the individual, but everyone can get there. That's kind of how we look at things. Just move on to the next one. So why the College of Law? We're the leading providers in Australia as well, so there's a bit of an international reputation there. We're also the #1 provider in New Zealand. We're in UK, and we're also in Asia, so we've got a bit of a name brand going on. So if you go anywhere overseas, they'll also know what the College of Law is, which can be quite helpful. And then we're also preferred, so we're favoured by the majority of students, law firms, and all of the big four accounting firms. And we've had over 9,000 students at this point, and we started in 2004, so that's quite exciting. And we were the first to establish the online and on-site blended learning model, and we were also the first to move our course fully online when we needed to last year as well. So we're quite adaptive and quick to be making sure that our students are getting the best experience that they can be. And the college is not just about delivering PLSC. We like to think of it as a life cycle. As a lawyer, you're going to be continuously learning and evolving, and we like as I said at the beginning, how there's those 4 stages. So college comes in, we do the PLSC, but we don't stop there. We'll move on. Like once you're in the legal profession, you can do a graduate diploma and just make sure your skills are up to scratch. And then you can, if you're looking at specialization, we do the masters, and then we also do continued professional development courses in things like resilience or legal project management and things like that. So the College of Law will be a name you'll probably see for quite some time in the future. And I think, yeah, I'll just move on. So I think I've already touched on a few of these points, but we do go beyond the PLSC. We partner with the industry to provide a range of development opportunities, and we're really looking to support new lawyers, but also the legal profession as a whole. We really care about lawyers in New Zealand, and we have an annual wellbeing study, which I hope some of you filled out this year because we advertised it to all the students as well. And that just gives us an idea of what the wellbeing of lawyers in New Zealand is, and whether there's sort of things that we can be doing to build that up, or talking to businesses and things, law firms, and just making sure that law is underpinning of New Zealand, so we want to make sure that everyone's got good well-being and mental health there as well. And we regularly advertise job opportunities to new graduates on our student portal, or you can also find them on LinkedIn if you're looking for any opportunities. And you've probably already seen our name around the campus a few times. We sponsor a range of initiatives with law schools and the Young Lawyers Associations as well. We'll move on to the next one. Oh, so if you have any questions, feel free to pop them into the Q&A or the chat now. Some quick ones. Can I pay via student loan? Yes, as long as you meet the StudyLink eligibility requirements. Our part-time and full-time course are both considered full-time, 0.4 EFTs by StudyLink. So you can apply for either of those. You can start the course once you've completed your final assessment for your LLB. You do not need to have your final grades back. You don't need to have formally graduated. You just need to have completed all requirements of your Bachelor of Law. So that also happens if you're doing a double major, you've completed everything you need for your law papers, but you're still doing, I don't know, accounting or something like that. You can start
or sometimes people are doing a dissertation for their honours at the same time as profs. So that's quite a common one.
And I think we already touched on your elective choice does not impact your time.
So it doesn't actually, because it is only one portion. Most students do all the same work in profs. There's one written paper is elective based, and it won't have any impact on your job choice. It's just, but I do recommend people do what interests you, because that just makes the work easier, I think.
Yeah.
So don't do something just because you think you should, I guess. Just do.
So we've got quite a few questions coming through. So
So I see one here. Is it hard to balance profs, a full-time job, and writing dissertation? Short answer, yes.
Yes.
First thing is, don't do the 13-week program, because our version of, sometimes people think, full-time, if that's full-time what it was like at uni, I'll have plenty of spare time. That isn't really the case because basically if you're doing the full-time program, you're submitting work every week, sometimes more than once a week. So, and everything counts eventually towards your assessment. So it's pretty full on. So do the 18-week course, but we have plenty of people that do work full-time, do profs, do their dissertations. You just need, but there's no way of sugarcoating it. You'll be busy, and good time management's definitely required.
Yeah, I think we didn't touch on it, but the full-time course we roughly estimate 37 hours per week. The part-time course is 27 hours per week. So you can kind of see what your time management balance is going to be. If you're working full-time, let's say 40 hours a week, you're doing part-time profs, that's 27 hours per week, that's 67 hours. So then how many hours are you putting into sleeping, your dissertation, eating, going to the gym, socializing, all those things. So I wouldn't recommend do all three, but we have had some people that have done it. They seem to be some of those type A personalities that can just do it all. I wouldn't be able to, but some people have.
Yeah, that's true. Have we got any more questions?
Yeah.
I can't actually see them.
I've got them here. Are assessments marked pass/fail or A to F grades? So
they are. I can answer that. Yep. So the regs it's competence based. So it's either Everything is either competent, which means it's satisfactory for a graduate starting out in supervised practice, or it's merit, which is it's better than we would usually expect from a graduate, or it's not yet competent, just means that you haven't yet met the threshold. So there's no pass or fail in our regulations, but there are also no grades at all, no A's, B's or C's, and no numerical marks at all.
Mm. And then do you have a timetable for both the 13 and 18-week courses so that I can check and I will manage my workload? So every course we run is a bit different. So we do have them up on our website. You can see all our course start dates. And then you can also when you click on and look in there, you can see our on-site timetables. And that's just around I think if you started earlier in the year, there would have been a lot of public holidays. So the timetables don't quite always stay the same just because we have to work around a couple of those public holidays and things like that.
That's true. I also think, if I was going to say, Anushka, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. If people think, oh, well, I think I might do that particular course, and they're wanting to look at specific dates that things might be due, or they know they've got a problem in the middle of a particular course because they're going to be away or whatever. If you know about that now, we can often look at that in advance and advise you best as to which course to do.
And always just get in touch, especially if, let's say you've got a week off in July and you've got there's going to be an assessment due in the week of July. You can just get in touch with us even before your course starts and just say, hey, I have a flight down to Queenstown, which I don't want to rebook because they're super expensive, and I don't want to be doing an assignment while I'm down there when I'm holidaying. Is there any way I can get an extension? And we normally can just give you 2 days extra sort of thing, and you complete it when you get back, or we can have a look and see if you can do it beforehand sort of thing. So just get in touch. There's one more question. Do you find that most students have to use the estimated amount of hours per week to complete the work, or some less / more?
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
That is a good question. So we know that the 27 hours a week, that's our regulator's estimated time frame. And that also, of course, feeds into things like the eligibility for StudyLink and all of that. But that's what the course has been designed around that. So the average student who does everything fully, does all the readings and all of that, that's how long we would expect it to take. What we know is that people spend a range of different times. A lot of our students would spend about, I would say about 15 to maybe up to 20. And some people would spend a lot more. So you can certainly get through with less, but you always got to remember actually if you're not spending the full 27 hours, sometimes that's a reason why you're finding certain things difficult. It's just because you're not able to put as much time in as you ideally would like.
I think it just comes down to that old adage, you get out of the course what you put the time in.
Yeah, that's probably true as well. But we know that people are often stretched, and I think our instructors are really aware of that, because we are all people who have been in practice or are currently in practice, many of us in large law firms. So we really know how difficult it sometimes is to squeeze that amount of time out of it. But it's the good thing about profs actually is that if you can put the time in while you're doing it, it's actually quite short-lived. It goes quite quickly. People think 18 weeks sounds like a long time, but most people find it goes quickly. So so you spend as much time on it as you can. A lot of students recommend things like book a slot and actually say, well, I'm always going to do profs on a Sunday morning, a bit like a part-time job. Say, well, I'm always going to be doing profs from 9 o'clock till 1 on a Sunday or whatever it might be, so that it's a fixed commitment. I know that has worked for a number of students.
Yeah. So that's all our questions so far. Does anyone else, I hope no one's quickly trying to type for a question, but has anyone else got any questions? We're happy to stay for another 2 minutes and just see. But thank you everyone for joining us. We hope we answered some of your questions that you may have had. We hope you have a better understanding of what PLSC is and are less daunted by it.
I hope so. Certainly don't be daunted by it, because basically what is very important is that you do profs, and I can see Renee Zhang's question about assessments being pass-fail. I think we've answered that one. That's just popped up on my screen.
We have
Anushka?
answered that one. So then I
So
guess in a traditional
competent. It's
yeah.
competent, merit, or not yet competent. There's no grades or numbers at all. What I was saying is, what the most important thing is that you do prof promptly after you finish your LLB.
Yes.
Because what we know is that sometimes people are wavering about whether they should do it, because they don't think that they think, actually, I don't think I'm ever going to want to work in a law firm, so maybe I won't do it. Now, I'm guessing that people that have turned up to the session are people that are thinking about doing it. But if you're in that wavering position and not quite sure, you should do it as soon as possible after finishing your degree, because if you ever want to work as a lawyer, you need to get admitted to the bar within 10 years of having completed your compulsory papers. That's your public, criminal, land. If you don't get admitted within 10 years of that, then your degree is classed as stale, and you'll have to have your qualifications assessed by the Council of Legal Education. That is a very bad situation to be in. So if you're wavering, just do profs as soon as possible. If you're planning on travelling or going away overseas to live.
Even if you're looking at being in a different industry, because we've had lots of people over the last year, as you can imagine, looking, I've got this law degree, I'll go be a lawyer because my current industry's, not doing so well.
Yes.
And they've looked into it. It's been 10 years since they've done criminal law or whatever it is, and they have to go make an application with the New Zealand Council of Legal Education. They have to find their academic transcript. They have to find these sort of things. And then I think it's like a $289 fee to get your assessments assessed. And then when that's done, you might have to do further studies. So what they'll do is they'll have a look at when you studied, for instance, criminal law, what the laws were, how much it's changed since then, how it's evolved, if you've done any further studies, if you've kept up to date, if you've done some courses or anything. But if you've
worked in a relevant similar field. But I think it's just one of those things that you don't get told at university. So basically the short answer is, the short message is, and you please tell this to your friends if you have any friends who are at university now or whatever, that you must do profs very soon after you finish. Don't wait, because if you do and your life takes you off in another direction and you decide to come back to it later, you might be in for a really nasty shot. And once you're admitted, you're admitted. It doesn't matter.
That's it.
You can come back to it whenever you want. You don't have to. You don't have to be working or to be holding a current practicing certificate. You've been admitted. You're on the roll, and you can then come back to it. Even if you've been away and worked overseas, you can come back anytime you then want, and you then have the right to go into private legal practice or provide regulated services. So do profs promptly and tell all your friends.
Because we have seen people try to come back and do it, and they find out they have to do further studies. They have to go back and learn things again, and you just don't. So it's kind of like, you got a whole law degree. You're this close to being able to call yourself a lawyer. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it for the glory.
Definitely.
We haven't had any other questions come through, so thank you, everyone. Hopefully no one's got questions coming from what we've just said.
I'm sure they can send questions through to inquiries or whatever. If anybody thinks of anything later on, like, and for example, if people have got questions about I'm thinking of enrolling, I'm not sure which elective to do or whatever, those are things that we can handle here. Client services sometimes refer those questions to the lecturer team or instructor team to talk about.
So I've just popped up our contact information. You can give us a call on 0800 COLAW or send us an email at inquiries@colaw.ac.nz. This contact information is up on our website as well, and there's heaps of ways to just get in touch with us. So we'd love if you could, and we hope to have you study with us in future. And if you're currently in the middle of your last semester, good luck.
Okay, good luck, guys. Thank you for attending.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.